XMPP User Control. XMPP is a protocol for instant messaging. There are many client programs supporting XMPP. You might select your favorite one for your own use. In Groupware, along with the system, we also provide a web XMPP client so that you can send message from that web interface. The setting of the web XMPP client in Groupware will be introduced elsewhere. Here we only introduce the configuration, the server. When you create a user account, XMPP access for that user is granted automatically. If you want to disable the XMPP usage for that user, you have to navigate via System Users or System Management. XMPP User Control. Both places allow you to disable a specific XMPP user. XMPP is using TCP port 5222 for client-to-server communication, and TCP port 5269 for server-to-server communication. Thus, you need to allow the access from the two TCP ports if you want to have client-to-server and server-to-server scenarios outside the firewall. To grant TCP port access, please refer to the chapter for border control. The domain name for XMPP can be filled at the field host name, S, or domain name, S, of XMPP. And we allow having multiple domain names on that field, for example, host name, S, or domain name, S, of XMPP localhost goto.com. In this case, when you set domain name in XMPP client, you can use localhost or goto.com. However, this has to be done very carefully. Although our user accounts can be applicable to those domain names, XMPP will treat them as different users if they are using different domain names. And you might need to set SRV record in DNS for XMPP to indicate which server is used for XMPP in your domain. If you do not want to have server-to-server communication, you might have the chance to use not fully qualified domain name, that is not registered in DNS server. In this case, you might not need to update your DNS server for SRV record. Instead, your client program needs to allow you to set XMPP host or XMPP proxy. For example, we use a non-existing domain name in the lab as follows: host name, S, or domain name, S, of XMPP, localhost goto.fg. Assume the IP address of this host is 192.168.11.104. Then, in your XMPP client, you should set XMPP host to 192.168.11.104 even if you are using the fake domain goto.fg. If the field enable chat logging is checked, the text conversion between users will be recorded under the directory /home/chat. You might use FTP-MGMT account to fetch them. From the interface provided here, you also can send message to all online XMPP users to notify something emergent. For users not online, they will not receive the message from this interface. For the client programs to receive the message from this interface, they have to support XEP0050 ad hoc commands. If they support the standard for XMPP, the message will be shown under the domain name in the friend list of XMPP client. In the example above, we use a fake domain name goto.fg so that it will display that this message is from goto.fg. In our web XMPP client in Groupware, it does not support to receive this kind of message, XEP0050, at the moment of writing this document. And the web XMPP client is sending message via HTTP. Thus, the connection will be always dropped very often. This is due to the nature of HTTP traffic. You should rely on that web XMPP client too much. However, our XMPP client for mobile devices can receive this message to all online domain users. In the snapshot above, a fake domain HUDA is used. And message from this admin interface will be shown under HUDA on friend list of XMPP client program. XMPP server-to-server policy. In some cases, we would like to have XMPP server-to-server communication, but we want to block the messages from some hosts, for example, google.com. Then, we can use System Management XMPP S2S policy to put google.com into deny list. The function here can be set up as blacklist or whitelist for XMPP hosts. The change will take effect only after you restart XMPP server. Statistics for Ethernet ports. The Ethernet interface status can be viewed via System Network Ethernet status, and you can turn off specific Ethernet ports to stop sending/receiving packets. This usually is used for network bypass for high availability with extra hardware. This usage for standby hardware with network bypass will be introduced later. If you are looking for network statistics with more details, you should turn to the help by using SNMP Manager to pull status from the system. Management via SNMP. The system can be working as SNMP agent for SNMP Manager to pull status and statistics. SNMP agent can be configured via System Network SNMP agent. Currently, it is only with MIB2 objects, i.e. TFRFC 1213, and the traps will be sent to via SNMP v2c to SNMP Manager. Please refer to the other literature for the details of SNMP. The system supports SNMP v1, v2c, and v3, however, Traps are sent via V2C only. SNMP is using UDP port 161. Thus, if SNMP manager just pulls status from one port, the UDP port 161 should be open for access. We do not recommend to do it in this way. Currently, those MIB2 objects are read-only. SNMP v1 and v2c are using the shared community string to control the access. Since we only encourage using SNMP over LAN or via VPN, we do not focus on the encryption aspects on SNMP v3. For SNMP traps, the system currently only sends out link up or link down status on Ethernet interfaces, or virtual VPN devices in the system. The following diagrams are examples of SNMP manager to poll status and receive traps from the system. The diagram above indicates that the Ethernet interface with if index value 2 is down. SSL Certificate. The SSL certificate used by the host for HTTPS, SMTPS, POP3S, IMAPs, SIPs, and XMPP-C2S can be entered via a system network SSL certificate. You can purchase the certificate from some vendors, like VeriSign, for example, for your host or domain use. You might use some self-signed certificates. But the other servers might reject self-signed certificates under some scenarios. For example, Google Gmail starts to enact the rule to fetch emails only with official CA-issued certificates if you want to fetch emails via IMAPs from Gmail. Please note that this certificate should not confuse with VPN certificates issued from our server. The certificate issued by VPN in the system is using the CA on the server itself. It is irrelevant to the screen snapshot here.